We are live. I
Hello.
have the darling Deborah Hathaway here. We're going to discuss her wonderful book, Near the Ruins of Penharrow. So there's lots of great questions. So I think we should just get started and then see as people come on what questions come up.
Sounds great.
So, okay. Angie, I have them on my trusty notebook because I'm on vacation, so I didn't have a printer.
You're so nice to do this on vacation.
Like this. Oh yeah, right. Any chance I have to talk to the Deborah Hathaway, I will take it. Okay, so Angie, she asks, in the author's note, you mentioned that you'd like to write a whole series about the Bowel Maidens. Would it be about the maidens at Will Favor or a different mine?
It would probably be, it would most likely be at Will Favor, since I worked super, super hard to establish that mine. It's been it took a lot of research and a lot of time to figure out the name as well and to try to make it accurate as well and everything. So I don't know if I'd want to go through the research of creating a whole new mine. I think I just like the other one, the Wheel Favor. I also like that one because there are a few girls in there that I would really like to tell their story. So Carenza was one of them. So I would probably do her story as well as a few of the other maidens there. So I would probably stick with Wheel Favor. And then I can bring in Gwynna again and Jack and stuff, which would be always fun to visit them. Yes. Exactly.
Yes, do that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Okay, good.
Okay, perfect. Just approved. Okay, and Angie also says, will there be more books in the Cornish romance series?
Yes, absolutely. There will be 2 more books in this series, and then more Cornish series to come. So the next 2 books, one will be about Miss Kinsey, who is in for the Lady of Lowena, the little quiet woman. And then the last book will be about a couple who they've made an appearance in every single one of my books in that series, but just the smallest little amount. And her name is Poppy Honeyset. So she'll have she'll be the final book. So yeah, I'm super excited to write her story.
I would read the book just for the name of that main character. Poppy Honeyset?
Honeyset, yeah.
Honeyset. Poppy Honeyset. I love that. So sweet. Okay. Susan, this is what Susan says. It's a great comment first. She says, this is why I like this group so much. I discover new to me authors and novels. And then she asks, what sparked your idea for this series? Besides your passionate love for Cornwall.
Yes. That's basically it, isn't it? It's my obsession with Cornwall. I knew I wanted to write about, I have the same love for England, but there's something special about Cornwall. So I knew I wanted to write something that was quintessentially Cornish in every way I could possibly think of. So I've got the lighthouse, I've got coves, I've got port towns, I've got ships and beaches and of course the mines. And so that's really, I just wanted to write a big, broad topic of Cornwall into each one of the books. So it was, again, my love of Cornwall. You just can't beat it.
No, you can't. I love your love for Cornwall. I love Cornwall because you love Cornwall so much.
Oh, that makes me happy.
And because I love Poldark, but mainly because the Deborah Hathaway loves Cornwall. I'm going to start calling you that, the Deborah.
I like it.
Okay. Martha asks, what is the discovery you made about Bowel Maidens? Am I saying that right? Bowel Maidens?
Yeah.
Okay. While researching that most surprised or impressed you?
Okay. So I had to look this one up because there were so many things that surprised and impressed me with them. But I was able to narrow it down to just a few, and then I narrowed it down to one. So I won't take 45 minutes talking about them. So there were maidens who were chosen to cart the hand barrows around. So they had the men doing the wheelbarrows, and then they had strong, youthful women as well as women. So in their teenage years, I think, they could call on them at any notice to have them carry the hand barrows. And they're 6 feet long, and they have these long handles on both sides. And there are 2 girls at a time who carry them. and they fill it up full of all of the ore, and the barrels can weigh, it said 150 hundredweight, no, 1.5 hundredweight. So that's like 150 pounds. So they're carrying that around. And then there was one person who went to Cornwall and like they weighed with the barrow as well as the water from the ore as well as the ore. They weighed it all, and it was over like 300 pounds that these girls are carrying by themselves. Like, it just blows my mind, the fact that they can do it. It's incredible. So that was like my favorite thing that I learned. So I'd absolutely write a story about them because they're insane, amazingly insane.
Gosh.
I know. I can't even understand it. It's just amazing.
No, I feel like I can hardly pick up my children. They're like 30 pounds.
I know. And to do it all day long, like going back and forth, like miserable, but it's just amazing. So cool.
Oh my heavens. I love this. This is so what was your favorite scene to write?
Okay, so this is a toss-up between two options. So one of my favorite scenes to write was the brawl scene, because you don't get to write women fighting a lot, like full on like fist fighting in the Regency era, and have it be like a thing they actually did. So in my research book, they had the women actually, there was a group of Bowel Maidens from opposing minds who actually fought together, and they had they fought for like 2 hours, and they were fighting over like a box of figs, like for reals. So I'm like, these women are amazing, because after they just spent the entire day working in the mine, they just go and brawl for like 2 hours with each other. I know.
That's amazing.
I know.
Sadly amazing, I guess.
Yes,
but like,
yeah. So that was why it was so fun to write, because I'm like, this is like real. This like actually happened. So it was super fun to write about, because it was actually historically accurate, and it was just fun to be able to do like a different scene. And then of course my other favorite scene was the kiss, or the near kiss scene. And the kiss scene. Both of those, they just count as one. It's really fun to write those. Isn't it?
It's kind of fun. I kind of get bashful and my face turns red while I write. So
it is so funny. Oh, I love it.
So Shaylin wants to know, why didn't they have the men do the carrying? Did they have a lack of available men?
So the men were usually downstairs in the mine, or down below ground in the mine. And most of them were doing most of the, they were all down there. So the women didn't go down below ground. So the men were doing most of the mining down there. And then there were just a few men up above grass where they were doing the wheelbarrowing themselves. So they didn't do the hand barrows, they did the wheelbarrows. And they also did other things, like they broke most of the rock in the beginning, I think, at some mines where they were just the bigger pieces of ore. They broke those down first before sending it to the rest of the maidens. So there were plenty of men. They were just doing most of the work below ground.
Down below.
Yep, exactly.
That's crazy.
I know.
That is so crazy to me. We have a few comments. Angie says, I'm glad Carenza, is that how you say it? Will get a story. And then Mandy says she definitely wants to go to Cornwall after reading your book.
Yay!
Yay! Another one.
I know.
Got us another one on your list of Cornwall love.
That was actually my goal. Like in the very beginning, I told my husband, I said, my goal is to make everybody love Cornwall as much as I do, and to make everybody want to go to Cornwall. So that makes me so happy.
But you're doing it. Look at you. One by one, you're doing it. We're all loving it. Kathy Jo says hi.
Hi,
and then
Kathy
Mandy
Jo.
says she loves your kissing scenes as well.
Oh, yay! I always worry about them because I've never had great kissing scenes. But with Penharrow, I'm like, oh, I love these ones. So I really hope they're really good. So that makes me happy.
They're very good.
Oh,
they're very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Desi asks, how do you come up with the names of the characters? Are they inspired by real people? Well, I'm guessing, are the characters inspired by real people?
Yeah. So Yeah, so with the names, I usually just go through, like, sometimes I do baby name books, but with my Cornish books, I usually go to websites that have like Cornish names listed. Sometimes they're more modern and sometimes they're like actually historically accurate. But if I did that, like most of them would be named like Anne and stuff. So I have to get like creative with my names. Some of them are named after actual Cornish words, like Gwynna, her name means white, or Gwyn does. So I added the Gwynna to make it more feminine. And so, yeah, I usually, none of them were inspired after any specific person, but there were specific scenes that were inspired by actual women who did it. So there were women who could actually like break down the ore in one shot, you know, and so, yeah, they were mostly just like the experiences they had that I based off of actual women, because they didn't have a whole lot of records like of the women back in the early 1800s and stuff. They didn't have a lot of records kept, which is incredibly frustrating, but
yeah. Well, you did great. So here's just, I'm just pushing in my own question right here, you know, because I'm moderating, so I totally can. How, you know, how they have a very specific way of talking, like their accent or dialect or whatever, you know, the Cornwall dialect.
Yeah.
How do you know how to write? Like, I mean, I was reading it and it felt so much just like watching Poldark. And the first time I watched Poldark, I'm like, why are they talking like that? You know, these and, you know, like ear and anyway. And then I was reading, I was like, oh my gosh, like, did she have to study this? Because it sounded just like the Poldark show.
Yeah.
But it, like, I feel like I could never even venture there because I would butcher that. But
I bet you'd do great. It's mostly, I have seen Poldark a ridiculous amount of times. And I think a lot of them, they had a lot of coaches like for their dialect as well, but I don't think it's like, I think most of the actual Cornish people say that they don't do a real Cornish accent very well, but it sounds okay to my untrained ears. So I ended up watching that show a whole lot. And then I watched YouTube video after YouTube video after YouTube video of actual Cornish people speaking to try to get the actual accent and stuff. But it was such a struggle because before I had the dialect like so thick, but I'm like, I still want people to be able to read it and understand and not have it like detract from the story. So I had to dial it back a lot. But yeah, so I just listened to a bunch of YouTube videos with Cornish people speaking, which was super fun. So
it's a good excuse.
Exactly.
I know, because, well, like Demels's brothers, like those are the ones that have like the thickest like dialect. And anyway, but I loved it because I felt like yours was readable. Like it's not like I never knew what they were not, you know, I knew what they were saying, but I thought you did such a good, I was like, how did she do this? Like, so now I know.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I'm so glad it worked.
Yes, no, I loved it. Okay. Let me get back to where I actually was before I cut everyone off. We're getting some comments on here. Lisa, she says we're darling. Look at her.
Oh, thank you.
I know it's mainly Deborah, but
okay. Whatever.
Mandy says goal achieved about making us want to go to Cornwall.
Oh, good.
And then she asks a question that's also asked later, so I'm going to hold off on her question for just a little bit. And then, Kathy had to take a break from Poldark because it got a little too depressing. It does, right there.
Yep.
And you swear you'll never watch it again.
Yep.
And then you do, and you're so glad you did.
It's so true. And everybody goes through that process as they're watching it. You watch it to a certain point, and then it's like, I'm never watching this again. And it took me an entire year. And then I started up and I was like, okay, I'm okay now. Yeah.
I've had time to grieve.
Exactly.
We completely hear you, Kathy. We get you.
100%. Okay. Just take your time.
Take your time.
And then come back to us.
Exactly. Okay. Desi asks, how do you come? Oh, that's the one I already asked. She asked about are your characters inspired by real people? I don't know if she means like pulling characters. It's a great question in like 5 different ways. I feel like we could take it 5 different ways. Yeah. So answer it how you will.
Yeah, I don't think there's not any one specific. There are like names sometimes that are inspired by like people I know. But like there's nothing ever anything. I think it's just kind of hard to have it inspired by actual people because, like I said, they didn't have a lot of history recorded of the actual Bowel Maidens with the names at those times, you know? And I also didn't want to like write somebody's history and stuff or like get it wrong and like be like worried about like offending them, you know? And so it was like, yeah, so not a huge amount.
How about, do you pull characters from your real life, like real people, you know?
Occasionally, yes. They're mostly the bad people.
So be nice to Deborah. You might end up in the book as a villain.
But I warp them and make them way worse. So it's never anything like really truthful.
You take the little parts and then you, I love
then
it. Exaggerate them. Yeah. I love this. This one, make sure I'm not the only one who does it. So Amy, and also that was Mandy's question earlier, asks, is your husband from Cornwall?
No, he is not. No, he's not from Cornwall, but he is from England. So he's from up north near Manchester. But he took holidays in Cornwall and then we went there in 2017. So yeah, he's not from Cornwall, but he loves it just like I do.
Yes. Well, and we get to see your beautiful pictures on your some of your author pages from time to time. Yeah. And we all love Cornwall.
Oh, yay.
No. And Amy also asked, how did you discover your love for Cornwall then, if it wasn't your husband being there?
Yeah. So like this is going to reveal how I was as a child. So Quest for Camelot, like I used to watch the show all the time. And there's like this two-headed dragon and their names were Devon and Cornwall. And I didn't like the dragon whose name was Cornwall. And so like my brain associated Cornwall with being like, oh, I don't ever want to see Cornwall because I really don't like that dragon. So it started at a really young age and I kept it forever. So the first time we went to England, my husband was like, we just really need to see Cornwall, not Cornwall. And I was like, no, I don't need to see Cornwall. That's super ugly. So it took me a really long time. And every time we went, so we went twice and he's like, we should go. And I'm like, no, it's fine. And so finally, when we went, I think a couple years before we went our third time, I watched Poldark and I saw the scenery in the first season. And I was just like, that's Cornwall. Like I have got to see that. So we made our trip. It was basically like a Poldark trip. And like we stopped at all the places and like it was the most incredible place I've ever been. And so once I went there, that's what really just solidified all of my feelings for the place. And like it's the one place like I really just feel myself and at peace. And it's just perfection there. It's just everything that's just amazing. Like the food, the accents, the people, the scenery, the ocean, the green, the fact that you're in England. You just really can't beat it. It's just amazing.
Yeah, Mandy says that's so funny. You didn't want to go and now you love it so much.
I know.
Think of it, had you like listened to your husband right in the beginning, we would have had so many more Cornwall books, Deborah.
I know. I was so dumb. I've certainly learned my lesson though. Don't you worry.
No, you are not. But I would have done the same thing. Just because I'm also like, don't like people to tell me where I should go. And I'd be like, no.
I know. I was the same way. I'm like, I don't need that in my life.
I don't need that. I don't care if you like it.
Exactly.
Okay. Arlita asks, what is the best book you've read recently?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
Recently, I don't know. They've just been a bunch of beta books and they've just been awesome. Yours included, but I can't say anything about them since they're not out yet. No, I will not stop. Yes.
What's your favorite book ever then? How about an ever?
Book ever?
That's not a hard one to answer on the spot, right?
I have no idea. I love Jane Austen's books.
Okay.
Like, those are pretty solid.
Then let's just go into our next question. Jane Austen or Georgette Hare?
I think I've answered that. Jane Austen. I tried reading Georgette Hare and I got a couple, I read the book. I can't remember which one it was, but it just didn't really click with me. But Jane Austen, like, it she just speaks to me instead. So
Your soul
does, yes.
I hear you.
Absolutely.
I hear you. So who was your favorite character to write? And who was your least favorite?
Okay, my favorite has to be Gwenna. Like, there's just, there's no contest. Yeah, she's like the ultimate character you want to write, because she's flawed, but not in the way that it's like her fault that she's flawed, you know? And she's strong and she's independent, but she still can rely on people, and she knows when to ask for help and stuff. And it was just so fun to write about a Bowel Maiden as well. And like, I think I've just tainted all of my other writing, because like I've been trying to write 2 books and I'm like, I don't like these characters because they're not as cool as Gwenna. So I don't know what I've done to myself.
Gwenna's ruined you.
I know. That's why I just want to continue to write about Bowel Maidens, because I'm like, well, at least I know they'll be just as cool as Gwenna.
Because you had to be cool to be a Bowel Maiden. I mean,
it's true.
It's
true.
Intense stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay, who was your least favorite then?
Okay, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I honestly, like this, I don't know if I have a least favorite, like, because I loved writing about every single one of the characters. If I had to choose one, it would probably be Mr. Pinnock, and he's like just that he's just very low on the totem pole in that, in the book. Exactly. He's like the kind of halvesy villain that's not really there.
That works. Yeah. That's an easy out. I like that one. I like that answer. Okay, Betty asks, did you have character inspiration or photos?
Yes. Okay, so I have to have like character inspiration. I have to have like photos if I'm going to write at all. And I always, like, if I'm struggling writing, it's usually because I don't have photo inspiration. So I have a Pinterest board where I keep all of the inspiration from all of the books that I've written and stuff. So for Penharrow, the Gwenna was after I found some girl while I was writing for the Lady of Lowena. I was looking up character inspirations for Sophia, who's the main character in that book, and I scrolled down and just went past this one girl with brown hair, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's Gwenna. And so like I kept it and I saved it forever, and it was like a whole entire year, and then I was finally able to write her story, but that image just stuck in my mind, and I don't know who it is. It's just a model with brown hair, but it just totally fit my picture of her. And then for Jack, it's obviously Aidan Turner.
I was going to say, I'll guess who it is.
Yeah, super easy.
I love it. So fun. So we have a few more comments, and Kathy says she can't read either Jane Austen or Georgia Hare because she falls asleep.
That's all right.
That's all right. Read them before bed. Put yourself into a nice, cozy sleep. Exactly. And then she also says, I have secret Pinterest boards for my casting on my reviews. So yeah, we hear you. We like.
Yes.
I mean, is your Pinterest board like available?
Oh yeah.
To look at? So like we could all like stalk you on Pinterest.
Yep, absolutely.
And figure out your characters.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I'm just making sure. And then Betsy wants to know, how did you become an author?
Well, I always liked to write. Well, I loved writing ever since I was little. I always wrote little stories, and I always loved reading. But then I think it was around, well, I've always been writing and always been writing stories, but it wasn't until I got married that I finished my first story. And then I went to England and I finished my first Regency. So it really just started. I sometimes have a hard time reading books because, like, when I was a teenager, because I was just like, I don't want this scene to happen right now. I want them to already be happy, kind of thing. So
I like that. I understand.
Yeah. So that's basically why I started. One of the reasons why I started like pushing for it, because I was like, I'm going to write a book so I know exactly how it ends, and I know the process, and I know every single scene, so I don't have to be stressed or anything. It's super convenient.
I love that. That is like the best reason ever for becoming into, like, I want my story told how I want my story
exactly.
told.
Exactly. It's just a lot more stress-free that way. Because then you're like, hey, I know exactly what's going to happen. And obviously with romance books, they're always going to end up together. But it's still like the push and the pulls, and are they going to get together or are they not? And that just like stresses me out. So I'm like, I just like knowing exactly where it's going to go. A little bit of the control freak in me.
Oh, sorry, my face hurts from smiling. Okay. So Shaylin says she's going to be heading to Pinterest right after this to see your board.
Yay!
Also,
you have to let me know if you like it.
Exactly. And Betty wants to know. Do you like how I said Betty?
Betty.
Betty would like to know: have you been to a coal mine in the area?
Not a coal mine, but I have been to the copper mines and tin mines. I've been to a clay mine as well. So the one I based my book off of was in Cornwall, and that's the one I have been to as well. I got to look down like the little shaft, and I got to walk around the dressing room floors and all of the faded stone walls and everything, and the cracked chimneys and stuff. Yeah, that's what it was totally. After seeing it, I was just like, I have to write this story. So awesome. It was just amazing. Yeah.
I saw you posted some pictures, didn't you?
Yeah.
You at some of those mines.
Yeah. I love it.
Cool.
Yeah. I have like 3,000 pictures. I'm like, I need to only post like one.
No, we want more. Post more. So Casey asks, the names in your titles are really unique. How do you come up with them?
Yes. So each of my titles have, they have a specific meaning. And I was just going to do like a titles that you could actually pronounce, or you could like say in one breath. But I decided, like, why not just make them eternally long and unpronounceable? So I come up with, I have a Cornish dictionary. And so I look through all the words, and I kind of choose based on the story what I'd like the main place to represent, kind of. So for like Goladuin, I chose the different words light, in, and dark. So basically Goladuin means light in the dark. And then I switch around the words and then make them so they sound good together. So like Lowena is like one straight Cornish word. I think it means happy or joy or something like that. So for now I can't even remember what Penharrow was. Oh, it's the end. So I was going to do the end of I can't remember what it was. I was going to do the end of something like sadness or sorrow, but it just wasn't working, and I just couldn't figure out what I could do. So I ended up going with the word harrow, and it's a Cornish word spelled in a different way now that I can't remember what it means. And then it's also like harrow playing on the English word. So it's always like a bunch of Cornish words put together. And it's basically like gibberish, but eventually makes sense kind of in English.
I love them. I think they're so pretty.
Thank you.
Sounding when you say them. Like the first one you said, I could not say that
Goladuin.
Right. No. Yeah, no. I can say Penharrow, right? Yeah. Penharrow. See, I even butchered that one.
That's just fine. Like I said, they're like unpronounceable, and it's not that big of a deal.
No, they're such pretty names, though.
Thank you.
Sally said, I love that you introduced us to new novels. I finished this last night, loved it. And it opened my eyes to the real part of England where it's not all balls and new dresses.
Yes. So, yeah, that's very nice. That makes me happy.
It's a very nice comment. So anyway, that's all the questions that I had from us. And awesome. So is there anything else that you want to say about your amazing book?
Amazing. You're so funny, Jess. No, I don't think so. I think that's everything. It is my favorite book to this day.
Is that one your favorite?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it probably always will hold a special place. Usually when I write books, I usually grow and mature past the books kind of in my writing. And I'm just like, oh, that one's not that good anymore. But I think this one will always hold a special place in my heart just because I love the Bowel Maidens so much. So it was a really, really fun book to write.
Okay.
So it's been fun to talk about it.
Such a beautiful job with it. So
thank you very much.
Yes. Well, yay. Thanks so much for coming on and chatting with all of us who are so interested. So, okay. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, we will see you soon.
Bye-bye.